Hello everyone, Justin here, and today I'm going to briefly go over 2-point perspective. And if you haven't seen my video on 1-point perspective yet, check that out. But as I mentioned before, what we're trying to do when we draw is portray a three-dimensional object onto this two-dimensional piece of paper. So let's look at this eraser. This eraser has 3 dimensions. We've got this thickness from here to here, or height. We have the thickness from this surface to the paper. So basically if I turn it over, this thickness right here, from here to the paper. And we also have this width. So these surfaces are defined by parallel edges here, these parallel edges, and then these parallel edges. So in 2-point perspective, these vertical lines right here, which are defining the width of this eraser, are always going to be parallel, whereas these parallel lines are going to converge to a point that's distant on the paper. And these two parallel lines, these two edges, will also converge as it goes further away, again to a secondary point. So again, these parallel lines here that define the width, all parallel lines will stay parallel. Let's look at an example here. First we'll draw our horizon again, and let's put 2 vanishing points, one here and one here. And let's start with trying to draw a cube. So let's begin with one vertical line. So from this corner, let's draw our line going to the vanishing point, and then to this corner. And now from this corner we're gonna draw our perspective line going to this vanishing point, roughly there, and again from this corner to that vanishing point. Okay, so now let's define the back edge of this cube. Here's our top edge, here's our front edge, here's our bottom edge, and as I mentioned, all vertical lines will stay vertical. So here's our vertical line. The back edge will be vertical and stay parallel to this. The back edge on this side of the cube again will stay vertical and be parallel to these other edges. But you notice that this line is now a different height versus this. Same thing with this, because now this height, which is technically the same height as this, is now shorter because of perspective. So these back lines, vertical lines, are defined by our perspective lines. So let's make the top edge darker and the bottom edge darker. Okay, so now we can define the bottom edges. So from this corner we're gonna draw our perspective line to this vanishing point, and from this corner to this vanishing point. Okay, so now what we've done is we've defined the back edges. So here and here. So I'll just go ahead and shade this in to make it look more three-dimensional. And that's what we mean when we talk about 2-point perspective. So let's draw another one here. Let's draw again the front corner of a rectangular object. So from this top corner we'll draw our perspective line going to this vanishing point, and over here. Okay, let's draw our vertical line on this side. Again, it's defined by our perspective line now, so it's going to end up being shorter than this line here. We'll make this side of this rectangle or box a little bit longer, so we'll draw our back edge a little bit further back, again defined by our perspective line. So now we can darken the edges. So with both of these, you can see that these sides become smaller as they go to the distance, towards the distance. So let's darken this and this. And now let's define the top. So again, from this corner, we'll draw our perspective line going to this vanishing point. And then here, this corner to that. So something like this, roughly. It becomes a little bit more difficult to see the corner here just because they're becoming kind of flat. Alright, so there's our box. So let's look at this eraser again. When we look at this eraser, we're basically looking, when we compare it to this box we just drew, this is how it looks like. Okay, where here's our vertical line staying parallel right there, and this vertical line, the top front corner, is parallel to this. Here's our sides, which are these, which disappear into the corner, into this vanishing point. Okay, so let's try drawing this eraser in this orientation. This time let's draw it up here. So I'm gonna draw another vertical line, kind of a taller one. And then again, let's define the edges. So from here to the vanishing point here. And then here. These are just rough estimations. Okay. So we're going to draw it like this. So now we're going to draw the back edge so that it's not so thick. This edge is going to be parallel to this line. And then it's got some length to it, so the back edge will be way back here. Again, it's going to stay parallel to these other two lines. So now we can define the edges a little bit more with a thicker line. And then from here, this corner, we're going to draw our perspective line to the vanishing point, like so. And the back edge would be going to this vanishing point on the left. So I'll just kind of roughly estimate that. And again, I'm going to darken the bottom just to show the shape better. And you can see that now this three-dimensional object looks like it's got shape, some depth, because of perspective. Not only is this side in perspective, as in getting smaller as we go towards the vanishing point, but also this side. Well, what about a cylinder? So let's draw a cylinder that heads to this vanishing point. So first of all, let's draw a couple lines here. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to draw the front edge of a rectangular shape like this. So this is the front, and then from this corner again, vanishing point to the vanishing point goes like this, and here to the vanishing point. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to try to make this into a square. So let's say here's the back edge. Okay, so this is a square in perspective, and then we're gonna go ahead and draw the back edge of this shape back here. Okay, now we've got a box. Again, from this corner we're gonna draw to the vanishing point a line, and then from this corner to that. Okay, so you can't see it, but back here then is the square of this box that won't be actually seen. So to make a cylinder, what we're going to be drawing here is basically an oval where the axis, here's the axis of the cylinder, goes this way, and now you've got this vertical here perpendicular to that axis. And what we're going to do is draw basically a circle in perspective, which ends up being an oval like that. So then same thing back here, you would have an oval, and then if you connect the sides at that point, you would have your cylinder. Again, I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. So that's basically how you draw a cylinder in perspective, where this end of the cylinder is also in perspective going away to this vanishing point. So what I have here is I extended this cylinder to go further out, and again what I did here was I drew the end of the shape, basically a square in perspective. Same with here, right here, and again the axis of this cylinder stays this way, and because remember that the end of this cylinder when viewed head on is this, we've got a square and it's a circle. So this circle will no longer be circular when you're looking at it in perspective, but an oval. And remember, with an oval or an ellipse, this minor axis, which is the shorter dimension versus this major axis, is going to be the main determinant of how you're going to place this oval. I'll talk about that more in another video, but again, here's the inside of the cylinder, the direction, and that defines then the minor axis of these ellipses. So the ellipse will then be based on this minor axis. So that's why I have the oval or ellipse drawn perpendicular to this axis. Again, here's the oval or ellipse, and here's the minor axis. I didn't draw these ovals perfectly, but you get the idea. Alright, so now let's look at a drawing just like on the 1-point perspective, kind of like a pyramid. So again, let's draw the corner of the pyramid right here, and perspective line to this vanishing point, and then a line to the other vanishing point. Okay, let's define the back edge right here and with this point, and then draw our lines again to that vanishing point. Okay, so now let's define the back edge back here again to the vanishing point, so it would be like this. So this shape here defines the bottom surface of our pyramid. Now if you connect these points, these opposing corners, that'll tell you the exact center of that bottom surface. So remember, we kept our verticals vertical. So from the center point, let's draw our vertical. So now we can define the top of our pyramid right here. So from there, it's a simple matter of drawing our lines to the corners of the bottom surface. Right there, and then to this front corner, right here, and then to this back corner. So now we have our pyramid, and we can erase these other lines which would not show in our drawing. So now we have our pyramid in 2-point perspective, where this line goes towards the vanishing point on the left and this edge goes to that vanishing point. And I'm gonna just go ahead and shade this side to convey some thickness and substance to this shape. And I think I'll stop there just as a brief overview of 2-point perspective, but I'll go into more detail in another video, especially with these ellipses and how to draw them in perspective. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.